Coming back, let's talk some AI. And by now, of course, you've heard about Chat.GPT. What about Charter GPT? That's the domain of Jet.AI. We'll talk about AI in the aviation business, fresh SPAC.
Whether you're an experienced investor or just getting started, TD Ameritrade offers a webcast that's right for you. Are you a long-term investor? Our investing webcast series breaks down different investing styles, including growth, value, income, and more. Best of all, you can ask questions by chatting directly with an education coach. It's interactive learning at its finest. Tune in live or watch on demand. Head over to tdameritrade.com/webcasts and start learning today.
Thinkorswim by TD Ameritrade is more than a trading platform. It's an entire trading experience. With innovation that lets you customize interfaces, charts, and orders to your style of trading. Personalized education to expand your perspective, and a dedicated trade desk of expert-level support that will push you to be even better and just might change how you trade forever. Because once you experience Thinkorswim by TD Ameritrade, there's no going back.
Before diving into the markets, prepare for the trading day with the Market Minute newsletter. Videos, market insight, and more delivered right to your inbox. Go to tdameritradenetwork.com, click on the pop-up to subscribe now.
I'm Nicole Petalides, host of Trading 360 and The Watch List, live on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange, where we bring you breaking news, experts, CEOs, influencers, and analysts. It's all available on Schwab Network.
All right, finally some excitement in the IPO and SPAC market. Don't think it's a sleepy summer Friday just yet. Let's go to New York and let's talk with the CEO, founder, and executive chairman of Jet.AI, Mike Winston, is with us after the debut via SPAC from the NASDAQ. Mike, thanks for being here and congrats on the offering. Tell us about the company. Charter GPT is your big thing you're working on. So we know about Chat GPT. What's the Charter part? How does this work into planes, Mike?
Well, so Charter GPT is much like Chat GPT in the sense that you can talk to it in natural language and it understands and can respond. Our unique advantage or addition to it is that we can make it book an airplane. We have 4 aircraft in Las Vegas, private jets, that we sell jet cards and fractions and charter on. And we know the business. We're in the trade. We book charter all the time. And so we turned around and looked at artificial intelligence, and we've developed a solution that merges our industry know-how with this leading advance. Right now, the front end is where you'll see most of the AI. But in the next version due out in September, and by the way, a current version will be out in the next couple of days in the App Store. But in the version after that, the back end will begin doing communication in natural language with operators of private aircraft. And I can tell you a little bit more about that if you like.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So when we have the booking element in mind, that's where there's right now not a program able to match people up with where they want to go, or where is the opening in the market here that you guys are serving, Mike?
Well, when you think about it, there are 2,400 kind of mini airlines in the United States that operate 3,000 private jets. 80% of those little airlines have fewer than 10 aircraft, and 60% have fewer than 5. So when you go to charter a private jet, unless some of the larger operators respond it's hard to find one, and in particularly difficult 40 days a year when there are blackout or grayout periods in the market, because you have millions of people who could charter an aircraft, but again, only 3,000 in the United States, there are a little less actually, that are available to do that. So getting a response from a mom and pop or from a smaller operator, which is most operators, is critical when the largest players don't respond. And even when they do, you get price improvement many times, or the same price for a better or newer aircraft from a smaller operator, which again is most operators. So the AI has a, yeah.
Well, I just wanted to jump in there for a second. You guys are based in Vegas, and
Yes.
the private jet industry is basically the sole focus here. Is that right?
Yeah, right now the private jet industry is our sole focus, but we're Jet.AI, not private Jet.AI, because we believe that our AI solutions over time will have broader implications for the aviation industry, and we're really at the vanguard of that. But a great place to start is not to go into big commercial aviation initially, it's to start in the private space where you can control more, you can understand more, you can establish credibility, scalability, and then look to broader horizons. But we also make software outside of our Charter GPT for those 2,400 operators that I was just talking about. Although, I will say that, being in the business is a huge advantage. We have customers. We have aircraft. And so when we talk to people in the industry, we come with a degree of credibility because we very much solved our own problems and can therefore credibly turn around to industry and say, hey, this is what works. Don't you want to try it?
Hey, I guess I'm not cool enough or rich enough to be familiar with the private jet demand industry. I mean, is it that robust? Are there that many people going, hey, I've got the money and the means to get on a private jet, but I can't find one?
Well, 40 days a year, that is the case, believe it or not. And private jets are the best kept secret in capitalism and in American prosperity. There are 29,000 private jets that have ever been delivered in the history of the world. We make about 650 jets globally in the world every year. And in the United States, we have a fleet of 16,000. When you look at the next country down on the list, which I believe are Brazil and Canada, they have about 1,000, and then the next one on the list is Germany with about 500. So a private jet, a business jet, is a uniquely American tool, and it's a big reason why, people who've got a lot of experience, but maybe a lot of years, they're like time machines. And you can take a team and make 3 stops in a day, 3 different cities in a day. And doing that on commercial aircraft is more difficult. When you think about American competitiveness, that's where private aviation plays a big role. And I think you are cool enough, and you could be rich enough, so don't count yourself out.
Yeah, the goal. Well, part of it is definitely becoming a little bit more mainstream. I think partly because we had this huge economic boom during COVID, a lot of discretionary spending, but then also there is different types of on-demand travel that folks are working on. You got Joby with the aircraft that they're doing. There's NetJets that's become pretty popular, and I'm curious, if, in particular for NetJet, do you see them as necessarily a competitor, like the fractional ownership method, or as a primary software, can you sell into NetJet?
Well, I mean, NetJets is 1,000 planes, and it's Warren Buffett's company, who I have tremendous respect for. Holy smokes, what an amazing person with a great track record. You can learn a lot just by reading his annual letters. NetJets has 1,000 airplanes. They are the clear leader in the industry. We're really a software company, but we operate airplanes opportunistically in order to feed that activity, because I think it's an interesting place, and it's a place that's growing rapidly. And there are high returns on capital to be had in private aviation, particularly in the fractional model, because Warren Buffett wouldn't be in the business if it wasn't a good business. That we can probably rely on. So when we have opportunities to do smart things on the aviation side, with aluminum, so to speak, with airplanes, we're going to do it. But really, we want to be deploying incremental capital at high rates of return into the software side. And it's a bigger market than you might think. There are 1 million charter legs every year in the United States. And The average leg's about 1.2, 1.3 hours. It's about $5,000 an hour. So you get about $6,500, per leg on a million legs. Is a $6.5 billion charter market. But nobody has taken more than a percentage point or two. And we believe that no one's taken more than a percentage point or two, even though other companies have attempted to roll up the space because of the labor intensity of chartering an aircraft. And one of the things that excites us most about our B2C product, which is Charter GPT, which we just opened discussing, is that we think we can take a lot of that drudgery and a lot of that labor out of the charter process. Now, there still needs to be human touch at the end because it's significant money and there's always risk in travel. But if we can get that labor, a significant part of that labor component out, we believe we can scale. And, the margins in the charter business are 5 to 10%. That's a $300 to $600 million profit pool on a $6.5 billion revenue number. So, 10% share is $30 to $60 million of very capital light, free cash that someone who can win that gets. And, that'd be about 100,000 charters a year or about 300, charters a day. Well, how many people do you need to do 300 charters a day? A lot. But with AI, far less.
Got it. Okay, so you're saving the goal is to save some of that human capital cost. That's basically what you're just outlining there too, where your value comes in. One of the other products that you have called Dino Flight, which was announced, I believe, right before this SPAC deal.
Dino Flight.
This is a carbon offset program. Is this so that Leo DiCaprio can fly to Cannes to preach about global warming and not have a guilty conscience?
Yes, it is. It's for that and more. There's no reason not to, right? I mean, it costs money, but so does flying private, and I think it's good for for the world. First, let's establish private aviation in particular. Aviation globally is 2% of carbon emissions, and private aviation is 2% of that number, so it's 0.4% of global emissions. But there is the notion that it might not be the most responsible, some have argued, on a per-person basis. And so DynaFlight looks to begin in the private aviation space, establish a track record. It's a transaction-based platform, so we're selling small amounts of carbon credit per flight, and actually carbon removal credits. They're the highest quality carbon credits, thanks to a partnership with Glandris, the gentleman on our board of advisors who's been with us for 3 or 4 years now, founded the company. Companies like JP Morgan and Microsoft buy credits of this kind, and so we feel pretty very confident in their quality. And so we make a bit on the transaction each time that happens. And you sort of care about that as an operator because, number one, customers are increasingly asking, and also it's good for the world, more importantly. But number three, when you go to buy a high-quality carbon removal credit, it generally takes a lot of money up front. And as we talked about, the average operator has fewer than 10 planes and fewer than 5. He's not going to make a huge up front. But through our platform, he can buy each flight. And we've got 250 different airplanes in our system. And we can do things like account for wind, account for age of aircraft, to really get that carbon number right.
All right. Fun convo, Mike. Very interesting business. Certainly unique. And we'll be in touch as now you're public. We'll be keeping an eye on the earnings. Appreciate the convo.
Thanks so much. Looking forward to
absolutely
next steps.
Thank you very much. Mike Winston, founder, executive chairman, Jet.AI, with the fresh SPAC into the public market. Coming up, we've got some earnings for next week to chart. Palo Alto.